Peace, y'all. This is Live Noche. Yeah, look, I talked to Herbert, and by the way, this video is not just for Herbert and Raven. I talked to Herbert and on PS3, and he was telling me that y'all really needed some help. That you only had subs in there since I left back in December, and by the way, if anybody else stumbles onto this video, I mean, this is a video for my students or my previous students that might need a little bit of help. So just walk on by. Don't, you can lose the funny comments and all that because it's not for, it's not your fight. It's not for you. You know what I'm saying, son? It's not for you. This is anyway. So this is for all my previous students from this year, 2012, 2013, or anybody else. If you stumble upon this video and you're looking for some help in language arts, as you all know, then the springtime comes. You got standardized tests. And in New Jersey, certain parts of New Jersey, it used to be one thing. Now it's called the Ask 8. But no matter what it's called, it's basically covering, 4 things. And there's going to be a series here of 5 videos. This being the first one, the introduction. And to all my students or anybody else, this video is basically going to tell you what this series is going to offer you for test prep. It's going to tell you what you need. And it's going to tell you why the tests are so important. Basically those 3 things. And what you need really is just a journal and a pen. A journal and a pen. So get a journal, get some paper and staple it together, and get yourself a pen. We don't use pencils around here, you know what I'm saying? We don't use pencils. Because if you use a pencil, basically you're going in with the mindset that you're going to make mistakes. And what I'd like y'all to do is use a pen. You know what I mean? So you mean that stuff. So you focus and you concentrate when you're writing down. That's just my style. You can do whatever you want, but my students know that I like y'all to use pen. Grab your journal, grab your pen, and remember, you can put me on pause if you need to, so you can copy down what you want to copy down. But just to let you know, if you want to do this right, make sure you got your pen and your journal out. And when you see something highlighted on the screen in front of me, that means it's time for you to take notes, all right? Because that's going to be important for you to look over later. And we're going to talk a little bit about the test first. We're going to talk about what's on it, get you guys comfortable. And for those of you I haven't seen in a while, I miss y'all. Welcome back. And I'm here to help you. So you can hit me with questions if y'all need to. You can do whatever you got to do to try to get better at this, preparing for this test. I'm sorry that things have not gone the way that they're supposed to have gone with you guys. Let's go outside. Let's get some fresh air. You know what I mean? Find a nice little spot, and we'll talk a little bit about the Ask 8 exam and what you guys can expect. All right. The reason why this Ask 8 test is so important, or why standardized tests at the end of like a period of school is so important, is because it's basically the main thing that they use to classify you. So when you take this test, what you're going to notice is that the results of it, everybody talks about them a lot. All your teachers, everybody, the principal. And the reason is because when you go into high school, they're only going to know a few pieces of information about you. Your name, they're going to know what grade you got the year before, but that's not really what they're going to look at when it comes time to putting you into a class. They're going to be looking basically at one thing, and that's the number. And I know that because whenever I've taught in any school, the number I receive is a standardized test score number. And that's supposed to tell me everything as a teacher that I need to know about a student. And, it's not really fair, because it's not taking a test under pressure that you can't study for isn't necessarily the best way to get the best information about a kid's intelligence or what they're capable of doing in a class, but that's the way they do it. So understand that this test is important, and I'm going to give you everything you need to do good on it, do well on it. But yeah, you need to put in the time, all right? During these videos, we're going to be talking about the language arts portion of the test, and that basically, that basically contains 4 things. 1, they're going to be looking at your reading comprehension skills, right? Reading comprehension skills. So that means they want to check out how well you can read and understand something. A short piece of writing. Maybe it's a story. Maybe it's instructions. Maybe it's a little piece of historical information. They want to test to see how well you can read that information and give accurate answers in multiple choice format, right? So 1, reading comprehension. The second thing you're going to be tested on is open-ended questions, right? How you answer open-ended questions, and there's a way to do that. And as long as you follow the rules and do what I tell you to do, and you answer them the way that I tell you to answer them, you're going to be able to fill out those questions, and you're going to be able to get the correct answers, or at least nearly correct answers, right? Now keep in mind, these are just tests. These are just tests that a huge institution of people use to measure your skills. Doesn't really necessarily mean it's the be-all, end-all to where your skills are at or how intelligent you are. But if you play ball and you do what you got to do, you're going to be successful in terms of getting the score you need to get. Your way is not the way you want to do it. Your way might be more beautiful, your way might be smarter, your way might be more effective, but you got to answer them their way, right? You got to go with their direction, the way they want you to answer them. And I'm going to tell you how they want you to answer them. When I say they, I'm talking about the people that created the test, the boards of people that agreed on how the answers should look and how your teacher should be teaching you how to answer the questions. And if you just color within the lines, even if it's prettier to color outside the lines, if you just color in within the lines and you do what they expect, then you're going to always win, right? You're going to always win. It's called conformity. Look that up. Conformity. It's a funny thing because conformity is not always a good thing, but I tend to believe that if you conform to something, like the way that you're supposed to answer these test questions, or the way you're supposed to study for it, or what people are expecting of you, you know, which is to be a lot like everybody else, then you're going to win, at least when it comes to the school system, right? So what you want to do is you want to answer the open-ended questions the way that they're supposed to be answered, right? You don't want to move too far outside the lines. You want to do what they want. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. Third part of the test is writing skills. And we started on that, but we didn't have a lot of time together to work on it. You're going to have to write essays in a timed fashion. So you're going to get, I don't know, it's going to be probably 40 to 45 minutes. I would be prepared to do it in 40. And you're going to have to write a full essay. To make it simple, I'm just going to give you the simplest techniques of what to do. And if you can conform to that, like we use that word conformity, if you can conform to these techniques, especially if you're lost in the sauce, use these techniques, use these rules I set for you, and you're going to do well. There's 3 types of essays you might have to write. The first is a persuasive essay, right? And a persuasive essay is basically to convince or persuade somebody that your opinion about something is the right one. It's to change somebody's opinion, right? So a persuasive essay is different than the other two, and they usually pop up on these tests. You're usually going to be asked to persuade somebody of something. So that's one, persuasive essay. Second essay is a descriptive essay. I don't see it as often, but you can just as easily get a descriptive essay question and have to answer it in a timed fashion. And that's basically taking an essay and describing a situation, or describing a location, or describing a person, or describing a feeling, describing something using descriptive words and figurative language, right? And then the third type is an expository or an explanatory essay. You know, an example of that would be like, you know, how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or how to change the engine on a car. Not like you would have to do something that technical, but you're going to have to explain something in essay format, right? And it's going to be 5 paragraphs. You're going to need a topic sentence, and you're going to need to set up your essay in that first paragraph. And you're going to need to have 3 body paragraphs. And you're going to need to have a conclusion paragraph that restates your introduction, right? So it's a lot of stuff here. But what I'm going to try to do for you is make it nice and simple, break it up into little chunks, right? So that way you can digest those chunks. Watch these videos several times. Look at the words that I'm giving you, right? And when you have that journal, and when you have your journal, what I want you to do is when I define a word for you, I want you to write that word down in that journal. And I want you to look at that definition. If you got a question about it or what it means, I want you to comment and ask me, right? So make sure that when I'm popping up the words on the screen, you're writing them down. If you have to pause and write down the words, pause and write down the words. And we're going to get deeper into this. And anybody who comes along for the ride, these 4 videos, y'all going to have a better understanding than you did before you started watching the videos. So it's the least I can do, and it's the most I can do, unfortunately. But hopefully I'll be able to be of some help. All right, y'all? So, just to recap, you got 4 things you're going to be tested on. First thing is you're going to be tested on your reading comprehension skills. Your ability to read something and then show that you understood it by answering multiple choice questions. Second thing you got to be able to do is answer open-ended questions. When somebody asks you a question, you got to answer it basically in a short paragraph form. And there's a way to do that. We're going to talk about the way to do that, and we're going to practice it to make sure you know how to do it just the right way before the test comes, right? Third thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to work on some writing skills, essay writing. It's going to be timed. It could be a persuasive essay, it could be a descriptive essay, it could be an expository or explanatory essay. We're going to talk about the formula for writing a good essay. Make sure you got it down packed. And if you got the formula down packed, you can knock them dead on test day. And remember, this isn't a measure of your intelligence or how smart you are, or how good of a person you are, or how creative you are. This is basically a hoop you got to jump through in order to do it, get a certain score or a certain number, because whether it's fair or not, that's how they're going to classify you. Look up that word classification and tell me what it means. What does classification mean? They're going to put you in a certain category, and that category is going to determine your placement in high school. Now, unfortunately, if you blow the test, the school is so overwhelmed with students, and this isn't just your school, it's any school is so overwhelmed with students, they might not properly classify you. So you might end up in a classroom full of brain-dead thugs that are going nowhere. And I know that sounds like a mean thing to say, but it doesn't change the fact that it's reality. And if you're in a negative environment, the chances of you doing well and getting something out of high school are exponentially lower. So the whole deal is that you want to do your best, because it's going to put you in the best possible position next year. Don't get it twisted, no matter what you do. Unless you do something violent or crazy, or unless you do something that really raises some eyebrows, you're going to graduate high school and you're going to get a diploma, because you don't have to work hard anymore to get a diploma. The diploma doesn't mean very much. It doesn't mean that you've got a high school level of skills when you graduate, or high school, whatever that means. What it means is that you've been pushed through the school system until you graduated, right? And that accomplishment, you know, along with that accomplishment of graduating high school doesn't necessarily mean much or benefit you all that much anymore either, because it's got to be coupled with other stuff, like trade school, learning how to do a trade, or actually going to college, you know, college level education, so you're qualified for specialized things and skills where you can work in a career that actually pays you, you know? My advice to you would be start right now, you know? You know, if you've been disappointed by school so far, right, or disappointed by the people in your class, the teachers you're given, the work you're given, the level of communication you got with your instructors, start right now to take the initiative to do it yourself, right? So here's what you need. One more time. You need a journal, you need a pen, and I want you to write down everything I say, categorize everything I say. If I want you to write it down, it's going to show up in bold or in lettering on the screen. The first video I'm going to do is going to be on figurative language. And figurative language is the different colors in your paint box, right, that you paint literature with, or you paint your writing with. And it's also going to, these terms are going to show up. You can guarantee, I'll bet my pinky on it, these terms I'm going to give you are going to show up on your test. There's no doubt about in my mind that these terms are going to show up on your test. So the first video I'm going to do is going to be on figurative language. It's going to be short. We've already seen the terms earlier in the school year. If you weren't there, then this might be your first time looking at the terms. We're going to go over those terms. They're going to show up either on my whiteboard or in print right on the screen. I want you to copy the terms in your journal. I'm going to be providing links in the descriptions underneath these videos. And on those links, you're going to be able to see resources. Like, you're going to be able to see those words in print. You're going to be able to see perhaps activities for those words, right? So that way you can get as much practice as you can on figurative language, because that's something that's going to show up. I can guarantee it. You need to know it. Make sure that y'all get a journal ready, get a pen ready, copy down the terms, and hit me with questions if y'all got questions. I love y'all. Peace.